there's one player on the Eagles who might have more pressure than anybody else on the defense in order to actually start making a contribution. Kayvon Thibodeaux, he was asked about beating the Eagles in 2023. Is it possible for the Giants to do so? And you got to pick between the 3 greatest Eagle wide receivers of all time. Name your trio. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Monday. Hope you're doing great. Subscribe and thumbs up for more stuff and shows like this from Eagles National Football League. Let's start with, though, Kayvon Wallace. There's a great article here from the Eagles Wire mentioning one player from every single team that needs to step up. A make-it-or-break-it year for that player. And for Philadelphia, it's Kayvon Wallace. And you think about this and you go, okay, why? And then you realize this makes a ton of sense. Wallace is entering year 4, literally year number 4, and he has to battle it out in order even just to not only start in this roster, but make the roster. He's not guaranteed to even be here. Listen to this, quote, Wallace is entering year number 4 and will look to finally cement a role in an Eagles defensive back rotation. Losing snaps to Reed Blankenship in 2022, Wallace is the longest tenured safety on the team, and a breakout season could have him on the move on many most improved lists. Former Clemson star will enter the final year of his contract and battle Blankenship, Jones, Evans, and Terrell Edmonds for playing time, end quote. And you forget this guy's, again, going into 4th year. Felt like yesterday we were drafting Kayvon Wallace and people were saying on Twitter he was the next Brian Dawkins because they both went to Clemson, but that was about the only real comparison that is there. It's true. Now, are there other players on this list? Sure. You could make an argument for some of the younger linebackers, some of the defensive ends like Derek Barnett, obviously make or break it years for some of the running backs. Rashad Penny's got to have a make it or break it year because he's been injured so darn much. But in terms of somebody who doesn't have a history of injuries, who basically just hasn't shown what he's capable of doing or hasn't been able to show at all that he's capable of doing these things, Kayvon Wallace is definitely up there for me. I would throw in Zach McPherson as well, even though he doesn't have a lot of chances to start. The fact he's playing and been practicing so far in the nickel cornerback slot is good news for him because maybe he can get on the football field. But even though Philadelphia's roster, as we will see, is absolutely stacked, there are still players like a Kayvon Wallace who absolutely must do something this year, and that only will be their final year in Philadelphia if they don't, but they could be cut during training camp because the safety group, as we just saw, between Blankenship and Brown and Evans and Edmonds is pretty darn stacked, and they don't need anything from Kayvon Wallace if the other players are playing very, very well. I move over here to a very fun tweet reminding you just how great the Eagles are. The Eagles own the trenches. They're the number 1 rated offensive line according to Pro Football Focus and the number 1 rated defensive line according to Pro Football Focus, and that comes with both offensive and defensive line losing a key and big-time contributor in terms of a starter. Obviously, the offensive line lost Isaac Seumalo, who most people consider one of the best right guards in the National Football League, and the defensive line lost Javon Hargrave, who was a double-digit sack defensive tackle last year and signed a massive contract with the 49ers in the offseason. Now, what's crazy is Philadelphia has reloaded at those spots beautifully. They had Cam Jurgens already, second-round draft pick. They added Tyler Steen this year, 3rd-round draft pick. And on the defensive line, they added Jordan Davis, 1st-round draft pick last year, and now Jalen Carter, 1st-round draft pick this year. They're absolutely loaded and ready to replug and recharge, and that is why Philadelphia is ranked so darn high in the trenches. And honestly, it's why Philadelphia is going to be great this year. You can make the argument that, Super Bowl hangover, maybe Jalen Hurts doesn't play as well, they got a really tough schedule, blah, blah, blah. All of that could be true, but there's just no way Philadelphia has a really big fallout just due to the fact that they have these 2 great offensive and defensive lines. You win in the trenches. Howie has spoken that and preached that his entire career, and Philadelphia is geared up for maybe not a 13 or 14 win season, but you can win 12 games on this schedule with this roster be very, very impressive. This roster also has superstars everywhere, right? The PFF rankings in terms of top 10 ranked Eagle players per their position group. Jalen Hurts inside the top 10. Now, number 7 is pretty darn low for quarterback, but that's PFF for you. A.J. Brown, 7th best wide receiver. Dallas Goedert, 4th best wide receiver. Lane Johnson, the 2nd best tackle. Jordan Mailata, the 6th best tackle. Kelsey, the 2nd best center. Disrespectful. Hassan Reddick, the 7th best pass rusher. Disrespectful. Darius Slay, the 3rd best cornerback. I mean, literally, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players ranked inside the top 10 at their positions. It shows you, again, the roster building of the Philadelphia Eagles and how incredible of a job the Eagles have been able to do over the past couple of seasons. All these guys are young, except for Jason Kelsey. All of them are on long-term deals, and all of them will be here, and I guess Darius Slay, a little bit older as well, but all will be here for the foreseeable future. This roster is stacked. Thumbs up for that. Biggest reason why I think the Eagles can definitely make it back to the Super Bowl this next year, or at least be extremely competitive and a tough out in the postseason. Now, the Giants and Kayvon Thibodeaux had kind of an overachieving year in the first season of new head coach Brian Daboll. Obviously, Daniel Jones played better than he had throughout the past couple of seasons. Still not great, but they made the playoffs and then got spanked by Philadelphia at a game I was at, a game you guys watched. We all watched it. They got destroyed. However, Kayvon Thibodeaux was on Good Morning Football on the NFL Network and was asked about the NFC East and how the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles both made the playoffs this past year. What is it going to be like to be underdogs heading into the season? Thibodeaux said this, quote, I mean, it's been good for me. I like to lay low. I'm happy that people aren't counting us out because that gives us more time to just work. We don't have to answer those questions. We don't have to worry about everybody looking at us. We can just keep our head down and grind. And I think, we love being the underdogs because that always gives us that story, that momentum to really work and really go after what we want, end quote. A solid answer, right? I mean, hungry dogs run faster. That's the Eagles motto. You see it on the t-shirts. That's a really, really good thing for Thibodeaux to say. And listen, I think the Giants should be good this year. The Giants made some pretty darn good additions. Darren Waller is a fantastic one, but they only go as far as your quarterback. We see it every single year. You will only go as far as your quarterback. If you have a mediocre quarterback, you can make the playoffs, but you're not going deep into the playoffs. You're not beating the number one seed. You're not going to go ahead and take an average quarterback and vault yourself into the AFC title game, especially in the AFC, but in the NFC as well. You have to be somewhat elite that season in order to carry your football team. Sure, offensive, defensive line matter, talent around the quarterback matters. All that is true. Head coach matters, and I like Brian Daboll, but they would have to get a 30-touchdown season out of Daniel Jones, have him make very few mistakes, which he makes a lot of, and keep Saquon Barkley healthy and happy, all while battling it out against Dallas and Philadelphia, both of which probably have better rosters as well. I think the gap between Dallas and the Giants is closer than the gap between the Giants and the Eagles is, just based overall on their roster. So Thibodeaux says nothing wrong here, but at the same time, he kind of does make a point that, well, we got to kind of work our way uphill because we are the underdogs, and I like being the underdogs because even he has to realize just how great Philadelphia is and how little Thibodeaux has done throughout his very short career against guys like Lane Johnson and now Jordan Mailata. Okay, final post here, again, is the offseason, so Philadelphia's Twitter account has a very cool picture here. How about this? Pick 3. All-time wide receiver core. And you see all the different names on here, the Harold Carmichaels, the Terrell Owens, the Deshaun Jacksons, A.J. Brown. What 3 are you picking? If you had to pick 3 here, who would you pick? For me, I would probably take T.O., Deshaun Jackson, and then A.J. Brown? I mean, the question would be, would you want Brown and T.O. on a roster when they both do very similar things? Would you want to go Jackson for the speed, Smith for the route running, and T.O. for the big physical size? That's the question there. No hate to the older guys here. We're talking about the modern guys, though, are going to be better overall athletes, just kind of how it works in the National Football League over the years. As much as T.O., was a diva, if you got that one season of T.O. pre-diva, he was probably the best receiver out of all this list. But then it goes to show you, you go T.O., A.J. Brown, and then Devontae Smith, and not even put Deshaun Jackson on there. And Jackson, during his prime, was one of the elite receivers in the game. Pick your 3. I love Macklin, but you're not taking Macklin over, Jackson, Owens, A.J. Brown, or Devontae Smith, right? Macklin was really good. He's not better than all of those players. So give me your 3 down below as we wrap up today's show. Always fun to see where you guys are at on these. And be sure to go ahead and check out some shorts I've been putting out. A lot of new shorts, trying to do 1 short a day. If you like them, be sure to subscribe. Thumbs up on each of the shorts. And if you can't find them, just click on my channel and then click on shorts, and you'll find all the shorts that I've been throwing up over the past couple of days. All right, plenty more stuff happening, again, over the next couple of days and weeks here. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.